So before I was focusing on just color fields and different color in one composition, and then now, I finally got to meet the right material, which is airbrush. Everything makes sense in terms of my concept. I was, internet and digital, especially the early 21st century 3D rendering, they are very important, and social media was important around my age, because back then when we were middle school, high school, that's when social media explodes, right? And that affects our personality. So this is kind of always been my main concept. Now I got to know this airbrush tool, which I started to use like in the end of 2019. It just makes sense because the texture of it is smooth, but it's high quality image of a blurry object, if you know what I mean. Like they are kind of blurry, they are raw, but they are high quality in terms of no matter how big you zoom in, it's always smooth, no pixel, and that's amazing to me. Because back then, after my last show, I was doing lots of different experiments, all about experiments. I've been doing that for a year. All of a sudden, this airbrush thing is pretty new to me and can't really handle it at first. So the image turned out really, painterly in a new way. You can see the rawness, you can see human move behind it instead of digital. That's literally the core of, what's happening in painting right now. And then in terms of this digital images, I think that's what I should do in terms of my age, because I think one of the most important thing is, if you see my works, it need to be happening right now. It's an abstract sort of not conclusion. It's an abstract point of view of what's literally happening online, on social media, and around my generation, how people behave online. All this excitement, ridiculousness, humorness, and there's all that, so I think that's the right tool. So Birkin bag, they're all the same, but they come from different colors, and how expensive they are, and how you can't get a bag without getting some accessories first, you know what I mean? But it needs something. Then I thought about, Asian tourists, they just buy all these luxury bags, out of pocket, full amount, cash, so that's really fascinating. I don't have personal opinion towards it. It just documented. So I put one of my signature elements, a stack of money, right in front of it. But first, I sort of dimmed the background, dimmed the whole painting, spray 3 or 4 coats of black. You can't even see it. To make it really dim, so all the highlights are pressed down, and then I have this green, fluorescent, shocking green in front, and the title I name it "We Always Pay Cash." Sort of complete the circle, I think, of this piece.
Your work, you had talked about how Gangnam Style was a song that only could come out now.
You're right.
So are your paintings.
Yeah, that's really important.
Yeah.
That's really important to me and my works. I don't want people to see my works and can't guess what age I am or when did I make this piece.
On the 3D ones, the weapons.
Yeah.
Go ahead and talk about those.
So I kind of like how in the games they always have lots of guns on the ground, but the one that you can pick up is 3D. You can see it's 3D. The other one is just stickers, on the ground. I kind of like how the very first 3D games ignore all these guns on the ground that you cannot interact with. So I like the idea. So I paint 2 canvases with on a flat surface with that gun. Try to make a gun really a game-like, golden, flat, and really raw. And then I just went to Home Depot, bought some hardwares and attached them together, so you can really you can close it, lift it, or you can spread it out and hang on the wall. It's just interesting. It's just funny to me. This whole thing about shoe is about like brands or you know what's that called, copyright. You know, if you and so that Nike shoe, it was just a normal skateboard Nike, and then I sort of covered it with gesso. I filled in with a resin, and then sort of make it into like a sculpture-ish, prime it, and then repainted another style of Nike, which is Jordan, still Nike. So it's into AJ1. So it's basically a fake AJ1 challenge, what people, you know, really serious about, you know, the copyright, while I'm playing with it, what you gonna do, you know? Like it's just like that. Yeah, so on that one, I sort of, you know, in terms of painterly, again, airbrushed all this like Chinese brand on top of that's a real Jordan of mine. So I gave out one of my Jordan and then airbrushed the fake Jordan on it, and then the title on it will be trademark your mom trademark. So it's basically a cursing sentence in Chinese. To explain, it's like, who cares about your trademark anyway? So trademark your mom trademark, you know? My images are from online too, you know? No copyright, you know, or no one cares about anymore. All these memes on social media, people play with movie clips, you know, all the time. And then that's how I see this social media thing.
Okay, the big animal here.
Mm-hmm. This was from a really bad old video games, really early 21st century. Bad rendering, like glitch all around. It's like a glitch game. That was a dog, you know, and then you see his leg is just different. Like they don't even bother to make those four legs the same. The head is like no mouth, like no nose, just a chunk of thing as the head. So I think this structure is so wrong that no one cares about what it is anymore. So I'd rather just make it into cheetah. And I like this little ridiculous thing on the screen being exaggerated into like a giant human-sized thing in front of you, so that you have this physical interaction, you know, with it.
This one here is like using Photoshop background.
Oh yeah, that one, the James Bond. Yeah, so that was the idea. Like when you create a 3D character on laptop, on computer, again, it's a color field paintings. You know, like a chunk of black and a shape of skin tone color, and surrounded by this open-ended texture, you know, grades, pattern, you know. So, yeah, so again, it doesn't matter if you recognize who this character is or not. It's a color field painting to start with.
And the last one, our girl here.
Yeah. Yeah, that's like my signature piece, because I think I just found this girl. I don't even know where. I lost the original picture, you know. Again, I think the leg is really sexy.
Yeah, she's wearing her tight jeans.
Yeah, and you know, and the high heels is ridiculous. It's weird. Everything's weird, but also sexy. And the rawness of the floor, I kind of like it. Like so raw. You know, everything's raw but sharp. That's the same with my paintings, you know. So this painting, you have a little bit of everything, you know, in terms of, you know, sharpness versus blurriness, carefulness versus subconsciousness, a bright color versus the blackest black paint that I use. Yeah, it's a little bit of everything, I think, you know. My favorite colors on it, yeah. So there's that again.